Thank you. Super. A few more join in. That's great. Okay. We will make a start then. So today's session, hi everybody. Is anybody new today? If you want to just give me a show of hands if there's anybody who hasn't been to one of these sessions in the past. Janet. Hi Janet, welcome. Can people just go on mute as well, just if you're not talking, then we don't get any background noise. That's great. Janet, just for your benefit, this is a very informal group. We meet once a month and it's here for all PAS advisors and work coaches, health and wellbeing coaches, anybody who's in those sorts of roles across the system that are supporting the Work Well programme. There's still somebody who's not on mute. I don't know if you can just put yourself on mute. I think you're having a conversation in the background there. I'm not sure who it is. That's great. Thank you. So yeah, a very friendly group, like I say, although I must say you're a very quiet group, I think, from our past meetings. I do encourage people to put their hands up, share information. You know, ultimately this meeting is about you lot. You are absolutely pivotal in the Work Well programme. And delivering the service to our local populations, and helping us collect information, collect data, show how well the money that we get for delivering this programme, how well it's working. So, you know, I always say this, thank you so much for everything that everybody's doing, because you are doing a fantastic job, and we need to just keep that going. We use these sessions for anything really, for updates, to share information, to share case studies, to absolutely keep everybody informed of anything that's going on. So today's session, and sorry Janet, I didn't introduce myself, Tracy Smith. I'm a Senior Commissioning Manager within the ICB, sort of overseeing everything that goes on in the work and health agenda. So that's Work Well as well as our Health and Growth Accelerator programmes. I'm supported today by Dawn. Dawn Rose is our business support sort of lead within the programme as well. But today's session is about the Dr. Julian application. So I've invited colleagues, Amy and Simon, today, who are going to go through the Dr. Julian application. Now, a bit of background information on that. It came to realisation that the Dr. Julian application resource library wasn't being used in the way it was meant to be being used. So you'll have seen if some emails that have perhaps gone out. We've also tried to inform our Work Well neighbourhood leads, which are across the system, and our project leads who project manage the Work Well programme. So trying to keep everybody in the loop here, and we thought, you know, we just need a session to set everybody straight. There is some stuff going on in the background that Simon and team are doing to speak separately to individual Work Well providers. Some of you may be on those calls. So without further ado, I will hand Simon over, but just before I forget, Dawn's going to be doing a little poll for us after Simon's delivered his sort of presentation. I sent an email out to you a couple of days ago just to ask you to bring along a list of some of the interventions or services that you use the most to signpost or sign up some of your clients or patients as part of your patient advisor service or as part of the Work Well service. We need to know what these are to upload onto the resource library of Dr. Julian, but I'll let Simon probably go into more detail and it'll become clear. But Dawn's going to set away a poll after Simon's finished, and it'll be a live poll so everybody can see the answers. No, I'm not expecting anybody's names. It's just a couple of questions of whereabouts do you work, and can you give us a list of your interventions, and Dawn will run us through it. Okay, so just be prepared for that. A little bit of interaction, nothing too onerous, and it's quite simple to use just through the chat. Okay, so Simon and Amy. Simon, if I can just hand it over to you.
Certainly, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate that, Tracy. Hope you can all hear me okay. Let me know if there's any feedback, because I've got some fans blowing at my end, because it's still rather warm down here in the south. forgive me, I'm on the south coast in Dorset, so it's perhaps not the same as you guys up north, but it's a very warm day down here. Yes, I was not expecting so many people, but I'm very pleased to see that there are plenty, which is great news. And as Tracy mentioned, we do have some parallel conversations going on with some services. And so if this is an overlap, my apologies. I don't know if we have anyone here from Durham, but I was speaking with a lady from Durham, and forgive me, that name's going out of my head now, tail end of last week. And I'm going to be using their setup for the basis of this demonstration, just because we took them through showing them what was available and got a few thoughts back from those people, and or that lady at least. And the idea, I think, is that we show for you guys the benefit of the resource library, how it is and what it takes to make it work. And what's happened over time is that we set you guys up with one shared resource library at the beginning, whereby I believe everyone is actually able to direct their patients to those resources. But the whole shared resource library has not been tailored to anyone's individual use. So it's yes, it was Laura. That resource library has been tailored to individual local regions, and that's the beauty of the resource library, is that if you have anything that's going on locally, if you have drop-in centres or something of that sort, different programs, ones that might be just very, very regional and local that wouldn't be appropriate for others, then that's why it would be very useful for you to have those resources available. But just for me to set the scene slightly, forgive me, I'm only in some of the meetings. I don't get involved with a lot of these, but if I use the wrong terminology, my apologies, but I'm aware of 9 different services. I don't know your official names are one, and that is Cumbria Health, who is the one that has been in touch with us. So we know that Cumbria Health is an entity of its own, and they have a resource library set up for themselves. But the others, I've just got some broad titles. So the 9, I've got North Cumbria, which is Cumbria Health. We've got Teesside, South and North Tyneside, as in 2 different regions, Northumberland, Newcastle, Durham, which I'm about to use today, Sunderland and Gateshead. Now, whether your services are called that, or whether indeed that's your region and you have a different technical name, forgive me, I don't know those. So those headings I just read out are how I've been told the region split down within the Northeast North Cumbria. So forgive me if I slip into something that doesn't match how you know yourselves as. My apologies in advance for that one. So rather than show you how the resource library is when you would start up, as in totally empty, I'm going to pick to use the one we set up for Durham, just so you get an idea for how it is seen, and obviously seen by the patient, and indeed then seen by the tenancy admins, which you guys will be able to be ultimately. I do understand from a previous conversation. So sorry, go ahead, Tracy.
Sorry, I just wanted to come in, Simon. Can I just ask a question to the audience? Is everybody familiar with Dr. Julian? Is there anybody who isn't familiar? It's just, I don't want people sitting here thinking, oh my God, I haven't got a clue. So, you know, I don't want people to worry. But I think, you know, because we've got this recorded, I think if anybody's got any questions or doesn't know what Dr. Julian is, please, you know, pop your hand up.
Okay, no hands as yet.
Brilliant, that's fine. Just wanted to double check. Thank you, Simon. Sorry to butt in there.
So where I was going, I skipped over a bit just now talking about the 9 different services. We will need to have your names as a service, so we set up the resource library for your individual local areas. So as I say, the one that's deemed Cumbria Health is actually exactly one that's deemed to be North Cumbria is indeed Cumbria Health as a service. We need the same for the other regions. So we have the flexibility, if you have a short name so that it can be put into the URL, and you'll each have a unique URL which you can pass to your patients, which they can then access. And that's what I'm about to go through and show you. But that URL doesn't have to be your business name as such. It can be a shortened version or a comfortable short name, whatever works, whatever you as a service think that your patients will be happy to view it as. So obviously, as long as it's not impolite, because it seems to be using it frequently. But so moving forward, I'm going to screen share for you and show you where patients would normally land at your service. And I'm getting there momentarily. So this is something which we have set up for Durham. They have this rather colourful logo, which is very nice indeed. And then they have the one above on the top right there. They actually give me a choice of logos. That's something else which we will need from each of the different services, whatever applicable logos you might want. You can have those moved around into different switch locations if you wish. You have the same logo in both places. Your choice entirely. So just move that window out of the way. It's always with Teams that you always get the minimize window in the way. So I have a Durham patient set up as an example. All patients have the option here. You can choose to tick a box to remember me, saving them having to. It'll set cookies so that it'll find the page for them, find the login more readily if they so wish, if they're not on a shared device. All users have to accept terms and conditions and the privacy policy, which there are links to right here. I'm going to go in here first of all to show you through what is visible. Now I'll come back to the starting page in a moment. So logging back in, it's saying welcome back Durham. Obviously that would say welcome back Fred if that was my name or whatever, rather than a place name. So it's a very simple view that we have. This is the resource manager, which they can click here, or indeed up the top over here they can access. There's a profile page, and this is information that they've actually fed in at the beginning of their little profile. I'll take you through that in a moment. But they can access the logout options through either of those. So both of these pages take them to the same place in effect. Now, this is a couple of categories that are assigned to this particular tenancy. So the resources can be grouped into categories, and then you have contents of each category. So in this case, we have this category picked at the top here, and these are the two entries that are within that category. Now, each of these is showing as a www little logo there. Resources can either be something that's out on the web in terms of a web address, which might be some sort of an online link. It could be a podcast or a video webinar. It can be an online link to a document, but it can also be a Word or a PDF logo here. If that actually is what you're pointing towards, it's a PDF document or a Word document that's up online. Now, the number of entries within a category is unlimited. Obviously, you don't want to have a category that's so big that it makes it difficult for the would-be patient to be able to find their way through it. But my two here looks to me looks a bit empty. But you're welcome to fill these out, pad them out with as many entries as you like. To access one, the user just simply clicks on either of these. But anything that they find that they are finding useful, particularly useful, they can click here to favourite. And you might recall that was on my first page when I first logged in. So if I go back to the home page, you'll see this one here, Interview Toolkit, is favourited here, so that it comes up being one that they can choose to see in preference to all of the others they might have assigned. They can choose to assign it or unassign it as favourites. That's perfectly fine. They have control over that. It just makes it visible when they first actually access the page. So going back, and notice there, I use the blue button as opposed to go out to the top here. It's equally either option works. I've also included here another category which has a few meditations. So this is an example here where we have a few more within a category. We'll point out we do have around about 150 resources which are all available to you to use. These 5 are ones that we did in collaboration with Long Live. So they literally are meditations. I'll just go and use one of those just so you have a chance to see what I'm talking about. And apologies, that's an advert. I think everyone's got the idea of what that's about. There's a suite of those. We have a collaboration with Long Live, hence the few of these here. Majority of our resources that are available are much more aimed at mental health. There are a few background things like that, like this one. There's another similar suite. I don't recall its name off the top of my head, but you are able to have as many or as few of those as you wish. And the point I was trying to make earlier is that we don't want to give everyone everything if they need them. Some of them are just resources which a therapist might use it within a session with people, as in like some sort of worksheets, so that wouldn't be appropriate maybe. And typically the advisory comment that's here would be saying words to that effect, that only to be used in a session with the therapist, in which case it wouldn't be suitable for your signposting function. But you're welcome to use them. We had thought you perhaps would want to just have it blank and start empty. And in our conversation with Durham the other day, they were saying they were quite keen to have as many resources as we could provide. So it's entirely up to each individual service. You can have as much or as little as you wish. What we have also said is that if you guys are able to provide some resources, then we will create them for you and set them up for you. So there's no initial overhead. So we will create them all, set them all up for you, customize your library to suit yourself, obviously applying logos and so on, making it look customized, and get it to the point where it's good to go. One thing I will mention is that all of the resources that we have available as our 150 plus number, those are regularly scanned. I think it's a monthly task we have at our end. They're all vetted and checked monthly to make sure they're all still live and active links and updated wherever necessary. So that won't require any work from you guys at all. The things you put in for yourselves, things that are local in your region, those you would need to maintain for yourselves. But again, I would put something up that maybe is a say it's a workshop that's only open for 2 weeks in the summer or something. Probably not the right place to put that on here, because that would mean more work for you guys putting it up and then taking it down. But something that is ongoing, certainly that's better. If it's ongoing for maybe a 6-month period or something of that sort. The idea is that you have this as a series of resources that you can make available to patients without any great overhead, but also saves you having to go looking for them. That is the main thing, because from what we understand, most people are emailing out to patients some sort of resource links. That email goes off, the patient gets it. Maybe they click on it, maybe they don't. Maybe they do click on it, maybe they use it, maybe they don't, but you never know. The beauty of what we're offering here is that all of these links are tracked, even the ones that you will create yourself. So everything that is set up here, they're all tracked. And there's a little summary page that you can see, which has real-time stats on it, showing which resources are accessed, how many times they've been accessed, and also giving you an idea of the user that's accessed them the most number of times in the month. It also gives you the number of users, new users in the month as well. That's a little summary which can also be pulled off as a little CSV download. So that will help you provide some figures back to the ICB, because we all understand that certain people want figures that aren't necessarily easily available. And the idea, I think, is that this is helping to give you those figures, plus a bit more certainty about what you're offering. And the stats that you'll see shortly about usage and access by patients, I think will be informative, because you may well find that you get take up on in terms of usage on things that you weren't expecting, and that in itself will give you a chance to investigate why those are better than perhaps something else you thought was more useful. The system is also set up so that, as a matter of course, when any one particular user has had access for 3 months, the system will fire out a user satisfaction survey. It's only 5 questions. It will capture those results and then be able to report back on those for you. So you get some sort of stats on usage and their perception of those. I think, off the top of my head, it's either of the 5 questions, I think 3 are yes, no type answers, and the other 2 are free format. So you get some insight in the patient's own words. So that's roughly what is happening around the whole scene here. Now, Jonas, I gave a little test just now on declutter your mind. That's one I have been into before. So that's perhaps not a great test, but if you care to check on this one, improving attention, I added this one the other day. I've never used it before, so I'll just do the same thing just now, just so you can see that we get some stats on this. Just letting that play. So that was improving attention. Just the fact I've accessed it this long will be recorded, and the system will be showing us just that. So if you guys remember improving attention, then we'll just see that that actually now has a score against it. We get there. Now, one thing which we can do is that when the patient lands on the sign-in page, we can set it up so they actually see this page. And this is basically a little header, and then below these blue buttons are all what would be the categories of resources. Now, that looks a bit sad with just 3 in there, but when you've got maybe 8, 10, 12 or more, it looks a lot more interesting. And the idea is that a patient who's self-referring, if you've just given them the URL to go away, just, they can be presented with this page. This is the first thing they would see, this page, and they can then just pick literally, I'm interested in this, and I'll have that as well, please. Thank you very much. So then when they submit, that will go away, and then that's the categories that they would see when they first log in. So as in on the home page, it would tell them which categories they have, and their resources will be those listed. They can change that, as you saw just now. I go back to edit here, and I can readjust those, so they're not missing out on anything. It just means that they are presented with those as being the ones that are most readily available to them. That we found to be quite useful, because when someone comes to the system, they maybe don't know what they need. Depending upon the name of your categories, that can give them a helping hand. You can name those categories and rename as you wish to, just to help that work. That gives people an easy start. They can obviously go on and find more as and when they want to, but it's a starting point for them, and that seems to work quite well. So broadly speaking, we've covered the patient interface. I did mention that profile page earlier. The view profile is a very minimalist page, minimalist particularly because I didn't bother filling out half the stuff that could go on here. So it does allow for an address and a phone number going in there and so on. And you see that my female colleague set this up because I'm definitely not female. Yes, Beth. Sorry, Jill.
Hiya, sorry, I'd popped
Hi.
it in the chat as well. Can we see a full list of all the categories available, please? Or is there just those 3 categories that you've showed us?
No, there's a whole load of categories, but the point is you can set up as many categories as you wish, named as you wish for your particular service.
Right, but we signpost this as a resource library for access for wellbeing tools for mental health, like a digital mental health support. So can we see what
Yes.
categories we've got for that, please?
No, the point I'm saying is this is starting from scratch with nothing in it right now.
Right.
If you wish, we can turn on all of our categories for you.
Or how would the customer know how to access those the categories, like the library of categories, if you like?
Because like I said, when it first lands, they'll be presented with this page, and instead of just having these three here, you'd end up with 20 or 30 categories there,
Right.
probably.
Okay, that's the bit I missed. Thank you.
Yep. But that's what I'm saying, that you can also name them to suit yourselves as well. So this is the point about them being set up regionally, so that you guys can have whatever works well for your particular area. I'm guessing there's probably things that you have by way of different naming conventions for certain things as well. You may well just want to have one or two that are just literally titled local resources, for example. Might make sense, or titled with your name. If it was, if it was Gateshead local or something of that sort, whatever worked for you.
Right.
I'm sure you guys will be much more imaginative about those things than I am. Sorry, my background's in IT, so I'm not therapy oriented in that way. So forgive me, you guys are the experts there. But
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, Tracy, yes, go ahead.
Just on top of Jill's question there, I suppose, if you are saying that we've got approximately 150 different resources just from Dr. Julian, I suppose seeing that list for all of the advisors and coaches on the call, having a view of that to understand what is available, like what each resource is for. Because I think, okay, they might not want to select all 150, but I think having the ability to have a look at that list to say, well, actually, I think that might be useful, that might be useful. So is that available at the beginning for any of the advisors and coaches to view, to set up and tailor? So they might say pick 20 out of the Dr. Julian catalogue, and then add another 10 of local resources that they like to use regularly because they know they work locally.
Absolutely, yes, you can do that. Absolutely. We had some feedback earlier on, which led us to believe that people wanted to have it empty and then just choose what they wanted to have put in it. But funnily enough, the feedback I got from Durham the other day was exactly what you just mentioned. They preferred to have everything. And they were very appreciative of the offer of all of our content. I don't actually, I think it's about 150 or 60 resources. I don't know how many categories that breaks down to, but it's something in the 20-30 range, I should imagine. But yes, we can make that available for anybody who wants it.
Right. I'm just, is it available through the application so you can just have a look, or would you, can we send out like a Word document with all of those categories on and a full list so people can just have a look at it? I don't know whether that would be helpful. Jill, I'll come back to you on that,
I'll be showing you the back end shortly, but
okay.
When you guys, I'm showing you the patient views currently. So I'll be showing you in moments the view that admins can have.
All right.
And then you guys will probably be able to see it there, and then be able to work out for yourselves what it is that you do or don't want.
Okay.
I wonder if it's worthwhile doing that here and now, turning that on for this tenancy that we're on, and then we can perhaps go from there. Might be worthwhile. So that's pretty much all I need to consider with regard to the patient view, apart from the fact they can come down to either of these options, and they can then, he says trying to do that, wrong choice after these options, and my Teams windows anyway yet, and then you can log out over there. So this page, if you recall, was where we started from. This is also where, when the patient is given this link to Signpost 2, they would arrive here and they get to register now. So I started because I already had the login set up. When they click register now, this page, you see I've got some email and password here. The page just expands into a registration form. So that's what's required of them. It's just name, address, email, date of birth, gender, mobile phone number, and address them and so forth. The SMS is a default. There is no SMS communication within the resource library part of this functionality. So it's just that, and then the rest of the function if they make a mistake and click register by mistake, they can always click on login if they've already logged in. Kind of normal functionality you might expect. So it's all within this one page, and then they will arrive in the resource library. So I hope that makes reasonable sense so far. If people, different representatives from the different regions can services can perhaps give some thought to what you might want by way of a name for the service. You'll notice how we have this currently called just Durham up here. There, in fact, it can be whatever you wish. So if it ends up being that you have a, like I know Workwell is an across the board name, it couldn't be Workwell because that would be across service. But if you have a name of something of that sort, it could be whatever your little catchphrase might be for your locality, whatever it might be. That could be your URL. Just a thought there. Just going to switch off here and jump across to the admin view and with a bit of luck, I can find my way to that. There we go. Share again. So you see I'm logged in here as Durham Tenancy Admin top here. So as the this would be your backend login to the platform. This is something which you can have as many admins as you need access to for your different services. It's probably better that you have someone who's a local champion who will take on the role of making any updates rather than having several people doing it and you both go to add the same resource and call it something different, perhaps. I just think for simplicity's sake, might be a worthwhile approach working that way, perhaps. And I was alerted, forgive me, I've forgotten the name, which it was now, but I believe there were 2 or maybe 3 different services that have an intermediate admin tier. So you may have one admin that might manage the access for 2 or 3 different services. Forgive me, I forget which ones they were. Someone mentioned it to me the other day, but
probably Tyne Health. They look after Northumberland and North Tyneside.
Ideal, yes.
Yeah.
So we can set it up so that one tenancy admin can access more than one tenancy. So in this case, they can access both tenancies, and they would be able to put stuff up that was common across both and specific to individuals as well. They could manage it both ways, and there's no real effort to that. So all that is part and parcel of these facilities within the service. So let me just scroll a touch there. And so you see across here we have resources, categories, and reports. And you mentioned, you might recall, I asked you to just now think about the long-lived meditation, which the name was, I forgot, I don't recall. I was saying to you about numbers because this is where it's showing us how many had accesses. You see over here, max access count. It's telling us how many times that particular resource has been accessed. So this is each resource. All of these can be sorted. So each of these categories can be sorted by category name or by resource name to find things more easily. To make it easier for anyone maintaining this, but so these counts are created real time. So us accessing those just now has it done that. It was improving attention we had just about ago. If you guys remember, I think improving attention is now counting a 1 against it, which didn't before. That is me, Durham patient, purely because I'm the only patient on this tenancy. So that's why I'm the one who's accessed everything the maximum number of times, because it's only me here doing it. Ultimately, you would actually get to see that your different resources had a different number of accesses. and you'll find that a certain patient may well be more active in a certain category than another, and you'll get an idea of who's doing what. It's more so about the individual resources, though, because if you see big scores against Symmetry, like this one down here, and nothing against this one here, then you think, well, there's something different between those. In this case, they're different categories, but you'll be able to, when you are looking at them within category, be able to get some idea of what's more interesting, whether it's the name, whether it's what's actually the content, and that will help you, I think, with perhaps tweaking the names to be more interesting or making people more inquisitive about them. But it certainly will give you an idea of where to analyze this. You have this new user count, which that's the number of new users within the current month. And all of these stats are downloadable to Excel. Don't think we have anything else on here. Oh, there was a selected tenancy, which in this case, there was only Durham. Durham is the only one. If I was the tenancy admin that had more than one tenancy available to me, I see more in that drop-down list. I could then get the stats for that. So this regional person, if they've got joint access, they would be able to get individual numbers for one or the other, or each different tenancy they have access to. So going up a section, categories are as simple as just headings, if you like, what to call it. That's some regional person's view. They will see tenancies. If these categories were in more than one tenancy, they'd end up with multiple tenancy names here. In this case, anyone who's using a single tenancy would be seen as view with just their one name there. But it is very simply, you create a category name and then put content into it. So I did have something saved, which somebody else had asked for in the past on the call. I forget what they called it. There we go. It's just a learning aid. So just going to go and create a new category. Various learning. You pick which tenancy it applies to, which typically will be your own. You can create categories and have them hidden. This visibility is what turns that offer on. So it's you may want to make some categories hidden, for example. So you could do that via here if you were a tenancy admin. For example, say when you get the full suite of categories from ourselves, there might be a handful you want to get hidden. So you want to just turn those off by making them invisible. So you obviously just do that, and it becomes invisible. You can create a category heading like this in preparation for the content you haven't yet made, and in which case you might make it invisible temporarily until you have the content ready. It just makes it flexible for people. So adding a category, system tells it's been added, so various learning now exists. If I go across to resources, I can then add resources, pick my category name, I'll use that various learning I just created. I'm going to go and grab the resource itself, which I've got saved somewhere else. Yeah. Rather strange name, but it's a very useful resource. Pick the tenancies. You have the option to name it differently. So the resource might be named one thing, you can call it something else for visibility on screen, which might be, for example, if it was something that was being provided to you by a certain entity, you might have their name on the resource name, but the name that's showing on screen, you might just have it as its name. So, for example, if MOOCs was provided by, I don't know, the NHS, for example, it may be you wouldn't want it to be saying NHS MOOCs, but just have that name. Bad example, perhaps, but you get the idea that it can be flexible like that. The advisory is the bit where I mentioned that we have some guidance against what's in there. So it's like a supplement to the, it's like a description, if you like, but more so it's something which lets you regulate it. So if it's only suitable for use within a therapy session by therapists, you can put that comment in here. If it was ideal for X, Y, Z, you can put that comment, whatever works. So right there. Example, ideal to learn anything new. It's a website, and I have the address over there. I do. Copy the address. The other two are typically only used. The other two fields are only typically used when resources are used within therapy sessions. So those don't really apply here. So you just add resource, and then we have that one added. So if we switch back to our patient, we would then see that resource available to them and a new category available to them. So if I jump across and do that, then you'll see how this is real time. But before we do that, just jump across to reports, and you will see that my category, which it's various learning. There we go. Various learning, and you see that it's all zeros, so we have no accesses to anything in that content that content just yet. So if I stop sharing a moment, I will just jump back to that particular patient. To log in and share again with you. Okay. So go to the resource library and look here. We now have 4 categories. And so the various learning is one that I can choose. And we see various learning, and then we'll have MOOCs as available. And MOOCs ends up being a resource we can go to. It's one which I think it was one of you guys, I forget which, pointed me towards MOOCs, and I found it's been very useful. There's all sorts of things available on there. You learn about almost anything you can think about. So it's very helpful for people who are considering changing skills or upskilling in some way, returning to work. All sorts of things there. Very, very useful. But hopefully that gives you an idea of how that can be added to this list, as it were. You can come back to here and take it off your list if you wish to. But I'll just click that again to remove it. And if I refresh here, that will be gone. But bear in mind, it's available, but it's not actually selected. It's not at the top. So it is pretty much as simple as that's what we've just shown, bar filling up with content. I think I should be able to do the content padding out for you, but by way of filling out the whole resource, which is, let's see if I can do that on another page whilst you guys are there. I think I can do that, and then refresh. We'll see a whole suite of content. So yeah, just update Durham's for that. Okay. Okay. Just updated that. So let's go back to the. Don't know if I can do that through the patient view this quickly. See if that will refresh itself. Oh, there we go. Yes, it does. So the patient view has now got lots more categories in there. So that's with the content from Dr. Julian itself across the board. So that's with all of our different categories. So maybe if I show you that view, you have that kind of a picking list to work from. There might be some duplications because of what I've just done. In fact, I can see there's various learnings in there twice. So I can get rid of those. But hopefully that gives you more of a feel for how this page could work, so that if someone's concerned about a few things, they would just pick their options. It might be, for example, so they'd have a little ponder, find a way through that. That's not mind waves. The other one I mentioned previously, we had the type with long live. Mind waves is another similar meditation program. But so each of these categories may suit, some may not suit your own needs. But as I said before, you can just turn off a category by hiding it. You have that control. You can also take out individual items of content if you want to have some of the content that's in there and not all of the content within a category. So it's wholly flexible like that. And then, of course, from the point you start, you have those stats that are accumulating and tracking, which makes it all worthwhile. I think that's pretty much what I need to cover today.
That's been great, Simon. Thank you. There's a couple of questions in the chat for you.
Lovely.
So, well, the full version of the resource library still be available for patients. So that's obviously down to each team to switch everything on.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So it depends on what each tenancy wants to switch on. If they want to switch the whole Dr. Julian library on, then absolutely, and add more on top of that if you've got other things available that you have locally.
Yes. I should also point out that is something which we will give to the patient for life. So there is free access, not just whilst they're actually being serviced by you, they have that for life. That login and all of that access. So that is across the board.
That's great. Okay, that's super. Estelle's asking there, can she please check, is the resource library the main usable function on the app at present? The main page mentions booking appointments.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, this today was meant to be about the resource library because that's a separate tenancy for you guys to refer people to, as in signposting. We are providing therapy to yourselves in various ways. I'm not the right person to answer that question about that, but certainly we are providing service, as in giving mental health appointments to people for various different groups. I don't know the extent of that.
I know Christine's put in there, is it possible to take off the appointments tab as that is not available? Obviously, yes. Yeah, it is only available to those who have sort of bought into it, isn't it, as part of their service?
Correct, yes.
Services.
Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't spot that was there. Just
great stuff. A couple of other questions from Malawatobi. Quick question, is Dr. Julian still in the development stage, or is it now ready for end users? So we know now, I think we can categorically say it is available now for all end users. So anybody within the patient advisor service or the work coach, work well models, who were employed to do that role can offer this out to any of the patients or clients that they see.
They can indeed, yes.
Yeah.
We just need a bit of input from you guys, as in, please give us your logos, the name you like on the end of your URL to access it, and any extra content you'd like us to fill up for you.
Yeah.
And then we'll give you logins. Yes.
That was his next question, basically the process for obtaining admin access for tenancy leads. So I think obviously the advisors or work coach leads across the system should be kind of responsible for this, alongside with their project leads within their neighbourhood teams. So, you know, it's making sure that the right people are feeding into this admin access. Oluwatobi, I would imagine, you know, I think you're a lead over in Cumbria, aren't you? You know, it might be that you need that access as a tenancy lead alongside a couple of other colleagues. So, and that's what Simon and the team are doing at the moment. They're going around each neighbourhood team with the project leads to set them up with whoever those users are and what resources you need. Hence the reason why we're going to just quickly run a poll shortly. I hope that makes sense. And then finally, he's asking what are the future plans for the platform's development to make it more engaging, informative and valuable for users. And I suppose this is a bit of give and take, isn't it? You've provided us with the platform. It's down to those admin users to make it as intuitive, not intuitive, but make the resources stand out to those individuals. Yes. by adding in a little bit of narrative of what they are.
Exactly that. Yes. Yeah. And also you'll start to pick up feedback from those surveys to go out to patient users after they've had 3 months of use at it. So that will also guide you in that respect too.
Okay. Sophie's asking, is she right in thinking that there will be duplication of effort if each organisation is creating their own library? Is there a way to link organisations' libraries together? It would be great to draw on others' knowledge of the area. Are there plans for mental health appointments to be extended to Workwell too? Currently, it's only available for Trailblazer. So, sorry, 2 questions there. I think the first one about the linking organisations. I mean, I think we can learn from each other, can't we? So it's almost like as our neighbourhood teams who might have a suite of lots of resources and say, well, actually this is, so let's say Durham, for example, they've been first to be set up. It's how much they are using it and what resources they're using. Could they share, a bit of a case study with the rest of the group, just so people are aware of what resources are being used more regularly. I can see Christine's got a hand up there. I don't know whether, Christine, you wanted to come in there.
Yeah, I just wanted, firstly though, Simon, thank you very much, Simon. That was brilliant, really good comprehensive overview. Would you mind just stop sharing your screen so we can then, it's really difficult to see what people are asking, and I'll stop. I did spotlight you as well. There was a couple of queries, wasn't there? Oh yes, so the Workwell services at the minute are creating their own digital front door, I'm aware. So that's going to consist of their own resources. So 2 issues with that. One is we need to look at if it's possible somehow to integrate the 2 so that it's not duplication of effort. So they don't have to identify all the different resources for their digital front door, to then also do it all again to incorporate into the Dr. Julian platform. So some way, if the 2 systems can talk, that would be marvellous. But we can pick that up because at the minute, Dr. Julian and the team are going around meeting all the Workwell service leads and getting this developed and delivered in your own locality areas. And then the other issue on the appointment services, the therapy service, that's only available at the moment with the Trailblazer test and learn pilot that we're doing, unfortunately. So any reference to appointment either needs to be invisible or removed, or unfortunately at the minute, because it's just all we're talking about here today is the resource library. And then was there another query, Tracy? Remind me, was that another one?
The issue about appointments, we can hide that, certainly. That's just a configuration thing. That's no problem.
Sorry, that was still from Sophie. The appointments one to extend to Workwell too.
Yes.
Currently it's only available for Trailblazer. I think that's down to local teams, isn't it? So it's tapping into the neighbourhood teams of what is available in your local area. I'll certainly take a look at Sophie, what area are you in? Nope.
South Tyneside, yeah.
Ah, right, okay. So
so the only difference is with the digital front doors, Simon, because the Workwell service have been asked to set up a digital front door of resources in their own areas. But the value of Dr. Julian is obviously audible, isn't it? It's like a prescribable tool. You will know if a work coach has recommended a particular resource we'll be able to see that and track it and have, so that's the value of Dr. Julian. I know people think it's duplication of effort, but we will be able to then see what's been recommended, what's been accessed. So we'll have this audible tool, won't we?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, you will, absolutely. Don't forget, we've also said that we will upload the resources for you. So if you want to just tell us what's on your digital front door, we'll do the duplication. It seems like it's bad timing on that respect.
Yes.
But we have been here for quite a number of months, like 12 or so, trying to get this thing going. So perhaps if we'd been further ahead, might have prevented the digital front door from even happening. But it's a shame. I mean, yes, I've no idea about whether we'll ever get the digital front door linking up to ours or not. That's a conversation for different people.
Yeah, we can certainly look at it, can't we?
It certainly is possible.
Yes. So at the minute you're working with all the WorkWell service leads and all the WorkWell services and getting that set up. But we also do need to think about how the PAS advisors are going to be able to access it. So we'll pick that up with the relevant PAS leads as well.
Yeah. I suspect, you know, having that duplicate tenancy in each area would be, you know, as long as the PAS leads that were happy to share that shared tenancy, I think it would make sense keeping it in area by area. I don't know. See, or it could be that they just have their own separate tenancy. But anyway, I'm just very conscious of time. We will pick up any other questions that are in the chat. So, you know, please keep them going if you need to. Thank you very much, Simon and Amy, for coming along today. As I say, it is recorded and we'll make it available. I'm just going to, Dawn, can you just stop recording at the moment and then we'll do the poll very quickly if we can.
Yeah.